Your mental well-being is critical to your human sustainability. However, over the years, mental health has been under attack in a variety of ways. But in my opinion, nothing has attacked it more than the era of social media, clickbait headlines, and fake news. Now, I do want to preface this that people have disagreed with each other since the beginning of time. But I have felt something drastically changed even over just the last decade. We have moved away from dialogue to wild extremes of debating. Not debating in terms of, the debate team in the 90s movies, but more accurately, the straight up, I'm going to pummel you with my opinion and there's no way you will ever prove me wrong. I'm 100% right, you are wrong, sort of thing. To illustrate what I see every single day on social media and mainstream news, I want to use some classic movies that everybody has probably seen. So I'm going to use Old School and Billy Madison. This is how everyone thinks they sound on social media.
Recent research has shown that empirical evidence for globalization of corporate innovation is very limited. And as a corollary, the market for technologies is shrinking. As a world leader, it's important for America to provide systematic research grants for our scientists. I believe strongly there will always be a need for us to have a well-articulated innovation policy with emphasis on human resource development. Thank you.
Now, this is how people actually sound on social media.
Okay. The Industrial Revolution, to me, is just like a story I know called The Puppy Who Lost His Way. The world was changing, and the puppy was getting bigger. So you see, the puppy was like industry, in that they were both lost in the woods. And nobody, especially the little boy, society, knew where to find them. Except that the puppy was a dog. But the industry, my friends, that was a revolution. Nip-high football rules!
This is the response they hope they get.
We have no response. But that was perfect.
That's the way you do it. That's the way you debate.
This is the response they actually get.
Mr. Madison, what you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
We see an even more challenging landscape when it comes to people combating each other online, even people debating each other on 30 to 60 second clips on like TikTok and Instagram and things like that. You can't have a conversation in 30 to 60 seconds. That's just not how the world works. It's not how human beings work, and it's how it's never worked in the past. We laugh at that, but then if you actually watch the news, because everything is so pressed for time to get commercials in and to get the pundits in, like, they do the exact same thing. If someone comes in on CNN or on Fox News to challenge the opposition, they're usually given like 30 to 60 seconds at a time to speak. And real talk, some people just want to argue. You know, the online trolls or just the naturally abrasive people that just love arguing with people for the sake of arguing, they flourish online. Every day on there is like their Super Bowl. And because of that, they increase the divide amongst ourselves bigger and bigger and bigger just because that's what they enjoy doing. And they don't understand the long-term repercussions of what their actions are. This leads me to another clip I found online of Tim Dillon on his podcast expressing his frustrations with the situation as well. And what he talks about is we cannot view each issue as though we're 24-hour news cycle hosts. And I'll let him explain.
We need to go back to where every situation in life is not a 24-hour cable news show. Where a conversation with my aunt is not a 24-hour cable news show where I have to have statistics and talking points every time she picks up the phone. And I'm like, well, actually, in Texas, the hospitalization, it's declined, but the death is, we can't do it. We can't go on like this forever. We have to go back to something that's more like normalcy. We can't do it. People are exhausted. Everybody you know now is a pundit.
And I mean, he's right. We've all essentially become pundits, and our social media and even some of our real lives have become toxic because of it. I see people arguing online for days on social media. And I mean, really just take a step back and think to yourself, why are you arguing your crazy conspiracy theory aunt or the dude from high school that failed biology who is telling you that COVID-19 is a hoax? Dictionary.com defines debating as arguing about a subject. Arguing rarely works. What we all need is more dialogue. And Dictionary.com defines dialogue as taking part in a conversation or discussion to solve a problem. Just look at the difference. Would you rather argue or solve a problem? Don't engage in Facebook threads or short form videos about anything. It's just not worth the arguing or the debating. As I showed in the beginning, we all think we sound like Frank the Tank from old school. In reality, we all sound like Billy Madison. So if you truly want to engage in dialogue. Pick up a phone and call the person that just said something on your Facebook, or, reach out to them via Zoom, have a face-to-face conversation. Approach the conversation with an open mind, not like it's a football game. There's not always going to be winners and losers when it comes to dialogue. It's really about obtaining new perspective, having empathy for somebody else, and educating you and educating that person. And that's right, sometimes it is you that is actually getting the education and not the other person. Ditch the social media debating, pick up more open dialogue. Your mental health will thank you. Not a scientist or a doctor, just a normal guy on a quest to better himself.